Hello and welcome to Friday Facts and Fun. So this week we're going to take a look at the Microsoft Office suite. And we're going to start and work through the things that are similar about the different Microsoft Office products, which include Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Publisher, Outlook, and Access. To access our Microsoft Office suite, I'm going to start here at the Start menu and scroll down to Microsoft Office. And this brings up all the different, oops, no, that was the tools, sorry. Okay, our Microsoft Office software can be arranged in a couple of different ways. From your Start menu, at one time, you would go scroll down and click on Microsoft, but that's the browser, and this is the tools, but it's not the actual Microsoft programs. So now they've actually broken the programs up, and each one is separate. We're going to look first at Word, and let me pull this in so we can see it better. Okay, this is an example of the page that will pull up when you open Word. It'll show any recent files, or you can open other documents. It'll pull up blank documents or other documents that are available. You can search for what they call online templates that give you examples. So I can look for resumes and cover letters, and it will pull up examples of resumes and cover letters, and it will show you new and open. Over here, it has different categories you can look at, such as resumes and cover letters. You can look at business items, charts, personal letters, different types of designs. But I want, again, our friendly back button. If I am just going to write a letter and I don't really have a format I need, I can click on a blank document to open it. So when we open our document, and this is generally the same in Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and Publisher, is you will have what we call a menu here across the top. They have File, a Home Page, Insert, Design, Layout, References, Mailings, Review, and View. Most of those will be the same, especially when you're comparing Word and Excel. Those same tabs will be available in that menu that you can choose. Within each of those menus, there's a submenu. For example, in File, I can open, that's the default because that's the one that comes up, and I can open recent things, I can open OneDrive, things on this PC, I can add a place. If I had a USB, I could find that, or I can browse. But the other important things to learn are all the other things under File. So let's start with Info, and this allows us to protect a document, inspect it so you can look at it, check for issues, and you manage your documents. It tells you the things about your document, such as the size, the number of pages, the number of words, how long it took you to edit it, if there's a title, or if you tagged it, made comments. It tells when you modified it, when you created it, when you printed it. It tells you who the author is. You can add authors and you can modify. And we can explore those all more in depth later. Today I just want to get through what's under the File tab and maybe start a document. New is again where you come and want to create a document from scratch. You don't already have one. And again, you have your blank document. This is a business event postcard that you could edit. And again, you can check business, you can do cards, flyers, letters, resumes, you can do holiday themes. And each one will bring up, well, let's just look at them, bring up a variety of things that you can work from. If that's not the one you want, obviously, again, we do our back arrow, and it's going to bring up my blank document unless I go to File and say New again. Again, I could do cards, I could do flyers, I could do resumes. So let's look at the resume one. There's various formats. This is the modern chronological resume. So if I like this one, I say create, and it puts in a template. All you have to do is substitute your information for what is in the document. It saves you a lot of time, a lot of effort, and it keeps your resume to a standard format that's being used today. Also, it means you are not paying for a document. You go to Google and try to create a resume. Many of the websites will let you type the resume, but won't let you print it without payment. Because there are already free templates that you can use in Word, it's much safer for you and less costly. Let me close that. We're not going to save it. Again, if we go back to File, we talked about Info and New. Open lets you open recent documents that you've already written. I can browse, so I can go look in my drives. I can look on my desktop. I can look in documents for other documents I've already created. I could look at a downloaded document. I can look in my drives. And if you have a USB plugged in, it would be in this area because it would look like this, a USB drive, and you can pull up the documents that are on that drive. So that I can show you some of the other things, let me pull up a document. So I'm going to pull up my newspaper article that was in this week's paper. My scrolling isn't working well today. But if I pull up my column that was in this week's paper, then I can go in and make changes to the document and save it. So I need to write my column not for next week, but for the following week, so 2 weeks from now, which would be the 15th. I can highlight information, delete this, and talk about civic engagement. And then I could, if I want to take out the whole paragraph, I can highlight this. In fact, I'll take out the whole article and delete. Now there's no article there. As you can see here from the heading, this still says 10-120 column word swags I'll be run Halloween word. I don't want to save this document under there because that would replace what I already had there. So in our file, we can go here, and if I say save, it's going to save it as that document. This is a new document. So a new document, I always want to do save as, and again, I can browse where I'm going to put it. Because I know this is in the newspaper Herald 2020, I can go in here and change my document name. I can backspace all this out and type in civic engagement, and I can save this document. Now you'll see that my title here at the top has changed. It's telling me that this is my 10/15/2020 column on civic engagement, and this is a Word document. So I have saved this. I've saved this as a new file by changing the name. Save as helps you make a new file. And I will type a little bit. All right, so now, because I already have this title, I can go to File, and I can hit Save, and it will save this document in the very same place. It replaced the document that only had the title in it. And I'm going to close this because we are going to use that later. All right, I do want to go back into Word, go back down to Word. Again, now I have recent documents, both the one on the 1st, the one on the 15th. Again, recent documents I've had blank, and I've had that resume we looked at. I'm going to open up the blank document so we can look at the rest of the things under File. Under File, we also have Print. So printing a blank document won't do us very much good. Let's go back in, and I will open this document back up, which I did just by clicking on it. Let me close that document again so I can show you. There's a couple of ways I could have done that. Okay, I could open any of these documents or create a new. If I double click here, it's going to open that document. Now, in File, I can choose to print this document, and you'll get a print screen. It shows that you want to print, it says what your printer is. You can choose to print the entire document, which in this case is only one page, which it shows you here. This is page 1 of 1. If it were 2 pages, I could print the document one-sided or both sides, flipping it on the long edge or on the short edge. Depending on what type of document you have, you may want to do either. If you have an older printer, you may have to manually print so that it prints one side, then you stick it back in and it prints the other side. If there's multiple pages, you can collate, you can staple. It tells you the orientation of your document. Again, portrait is up and down like a portrait, and landscape turns it the other way. I'm going to change it back to portrait. It's saying I want to print it in letter. I can reset the margins, and I can say whether I want 1 page or more pages per sheet. Then once I've set all these parameters, I can choose print, and the document will print. Under File, under the File tab, we also have Share. This allows me to share it with certain people. I can send it to a group. I can email it, and this lets me, I can send it as an attachment, as a PDF, or an XPF. PDF allows you to send it, and they cannot change your layout, formatting, fonts, but it does allow them to review it. If you send it as an attachment, as a Word document, everyone you send it to can make changes and send it back to you. You can present it online, and you get a link to share the document with people, or you can post it to a blog. And I don't have a blog, but if you did, these are the ways you would do that. Also under File, we have Export, and this lets you create the PDF XPF document so that people can, again, look at what you're sending them, but not make changes to it, and that protects you. You can change the file type. Word docs come as document. You can change it to various different types of document, plain text, rich text. So there's a variety of things there that as you learn more, you might want to look at. You can save it as a web page. Other things you can do under the File tab is close the document. But before we do that, I'm going to go back so we're back actually in the document. Before we do the close, I want you to look at your account. This tells you the way your Office account is set up. And again, this has Access, Excel, OneNote, which is like a little notepad. It has Outlook, which is an email program. It has PowerPoint for slides and presentations. It has Publishers, which is a good program for making flyers and cards and those sorts of things. And it has Word. And also it looks like we've added Skype for Business under Microsoft Office. You can, if you're wanting to send your documents from anywhere to anywhere, you can sign into your Office account to send them. Now this tells you that this is Microsoft Office Professional Plus 2016. So if you're trying to do something in Microsoft, you're in a program and someone says, well, what version are you in? You can always go to File, Account, and it will tell you which version you have. And again, Microsoft Office is a suite of products. It's all of these different softwares. This version is 2016. There's the ones mostly still in use are 2010, 2013, 2016, and I believe there's a new one that came out in 2019. We have not upgraded yet. Depending on how you use your product, whether how often you need to upgrade, as long as you are comfortable using yours and there is still technical support for it, keep using the product you're comfortable with. Options. So this lets you personalize the way your product works. We saw that I had the office theme of colorful. I could go in here and change it to white or to dark gray. Let's change it to dark gray, say okay. Now we'll go back to our file, and when we look at our account, it's going to show that my office theme is dark gray. As you can see, this is dark and not as colorful as it was before. So I'm going to go back to my options, and I'm going to change this back from dark gray to colorful and say okay. And again, this gave us a lighter background. It gave us the blue color here. And when I look in my file account, again, this is more colorful. This is blue, and the rest orange colored. A lighter gray here, various blues over here. In options, you can do lots of things. There are general options. You can have toolbars show up for the selection to make it easier for you to tell what you're doing. You can change your display, have white space between pages in a print layout view. You can use highlighter marks, tooltips. You can do tab. When you're trying to make corrections, sometimes it's good to add these marks in so that you can see. I'm going to save these, and then we'll go back and look at the document again. So you can see that it's added in the paragraph marks. It's added in between every word a dot so that you know that that is the end of that word. I'm going to go to display. Now I'm going to take the tabs out. I'm going to take spaces out. I'm going to take out the paragraph mark. In proofing, it allows you to make choices that make spelling correction easier. I can ignore things that are in uppercase because generally those are proper names of businesses or other entities. So if I ignore those, Microsoft Office is not going to give me a spelling error on that. I can ignore words that contain numbers. I can ignore internet and file addresses. It will allow me to flag repeated words. When correcting spelling and grammar in Word, you can check your spelling as you type. I like to do that, but some people prefer to take that off, not correct grammar, but go back, and if I take all of these out and say okay, and if I go back and I type, did you see that? It automatically corrected that I put 2 capitals and 2 small letters. It automatically made it the capital at the beginning of the sentence and then all small. I'm misspelling this on purpose. It automatically is correcting certain words as I go. Okay, so as you see, I made several spelling errors, and it allowed me to do that for the most part. But then if I go to review, then I can do the spelling and grammar check, and it'll tell me, is this supposed to be want or went? And then I can say it was went, and I can change it. Or I can say, yes, that's correct. I want to change it to office. Do I want to change it to corrections? Yes. It lets you make the changes. Some people like to do that all at the end. I prefer to have it correct as much as possible as I go. So in options, I'm going to choose my options, and again, I'm going to choose proofing, and I'm going to tell it, please check the spelling and the grammar and frequently confused. So check that at the same time. Okay, last thing that we're going to look at is, we've looked at the account, we've looked at our options. So we've looked at everything under the File tab. Let me go back one more time. Under this File tab, we've looked at everything except Close. And so when I say Close, if I've made changes, it asks, do you want to save, you don't want to save, or you can cancel. If you don't save, it will keep a temporary copy of the file for a little while, but anytime you've made changes here, you do want to save the document. Now, the document is saved, it's closed, and then I can close Word. That was our brief overview of the Microsoft Office and the File tab from the menu. Next week, we'll continue with Office, and as we get through the other Microsoft Office products, we'll see some similarities between them. Have a good week, and we will see you next time.